Warning, the following program contains news talk, solutions, and information not found in filtered media outlets. Viewer discretion is advised.
Attention, you are now about to enter
Filter-Free Radio.
So open your mind, push reset, and reboot your computer.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Looking for filters? Check your coffee maker. This is Filter-Free Radio with Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott. Filterfreeradio.com. Get ready to suck down some grounds.
When I talk about resistance, I think we have to stand up now and carry out acts of nonviolent resistance.
Because the truth is, we do have power.
We live in revolutionary times, but the counter-revolution is winning.
Sounds like a case of the Mondays.
Live Monday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Filterfreeradio.com.
This is my favorite show.
We have been given an opportunity to make a new beginning.
And I think it's very important for us to start to build a culture of resistance because what we're doing isn't working, clearly.
It's our job to very coldly assess reality and then figure out how to respond.
Your number one source for unfiltered truth, analysis, and solutions. Filterfreeradio.com.
Totally not an understatement to say biggest filter-free radio show ever. Or at least the biggest announcement that we've ever made in our history. Welcome, my friends, alternative thinkers, independent minds, unfiltered truth and news seekers. Jacob Dean here broadcasting live from Portland, Oregon. This is Filter Free Radio, our show, fed up with the status quo. We're talking about how we're going to change it. We're talking about how we're mobilizing the people to get active and be that change. Because if we can reach one person, and just one person, and make a difference in that one person's life, well, then that becomes a lifetime of difference. And that is what this is all about, my friends. Welcome. We are live on our website, filterfreeradio.com, as well as the home of Nicole Sandler, radioornot.com. And we are streaming audio live on the TuneIn app at Liberal Justice Radio. There's a link to that at our website as well, filterfreeradio.com. If you want to carry Filter Free Radio in some fashion or another, let me know. Let's make it happen. So much coming up on the show today. In the second hour of the program, I am going to be covering the Progressive Radio Northwest Forum that happened in Seattle this last week. Myself, alongside the one, the only Mark Taylor Canfield, and independent online broadcast audio guru, Space Dog of Space Dog Radio. We made it happen in Seattle. I got to tell you all about that. It was a fantastic time. Space Dog is going to be joining us in the second hour of the program coming up 5:30 my time. That's 8:30 on the East Coast. Space Dog of Space Dog Radio, spacedogradio.com will be joining us for the very first time on Filter Free Radio. I am very excited about that, to say the least. Very excited. And our very good friend now, who actually I've met in real life, and I can say he is officially one of my brothers from another mother, Mr. Mark Taylor Canfield, will be joining the program also coming up in the second hour. Very excited about that as well. And right now, I would introduce my brother from another mother, our super duper awesome mass producer, co-host, and kick-ass all around good fellow, Mr. Skeptical Scott, our co-host and our producer. Scott is off tonight. Oh, everyone's like, oh. I know folks love Scott, and I'm super excited for all of the new connections that we have made in Seattle, all the new connections we've made in Portland, all the new connections in Washington, D.C. we are making right now. I'm so excited for you to get to meet Skeptical Scott. He's going to be back in action on our next program, so hang tight, hang tuned. Scott is moving. He is literally in the process of moving, and between between moving and work and life, gotta prioritize somewhere, right? So our brother from another mother, Mr. Skeptical Scott, is off this week for good behavior. As I say, no, he is busy. He is moving this week. And so Scott's internet is not up. The computer stuff is not up. The whole thing is not up. It is in transit, right? So Scott's going to be with us next week. Scott is a Washington, D.C. native, born and raised in Washington, D.C., lived in PG County, going to live now in the county that I used to live in Montgomery County. And the reason why this is a significant deal is because this is actually, I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the big announcement. Filter-Free Radio has been picked up by a real radio station. Matter of fact, they are airing this program right now, and it is on We Act Radio, the website weactradio.com. If you are outside of the Washington, D.C. area, that's how you check out We Act Radio. weactradio.com. If you're in the Washington, D.C. area, you can pick me up on 1480 AM WPWC. And man, I am ecstatic. I'm speechless. I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to be a part of We Act Radio. I was a little bit in the very initial days, not much. I helped get Tom Hartman down to the studio for an open house one day, so that was kind of cool. And but now we are on We Act Radio, and if you like Filter-Free Radio, you definitely will like the other programs on We Act Radio. It is a nonprofit community radio station in Washington, D.C., and there's some great folks there working really hard, and not getting a lot of, show of that, not so much fruits from the labor, lots of labor, not much fruits right now. So check out weactradio.com and, give a shout out to Kimon and give a shout out to Pete. These guys are working super hard, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. Independent journalists, independent broadcasters, independent nonprofit community radio stations, when we all get together, we can make serious things happen. I'm so excited to be a part of We Act Radio. I'm so excited for We Act Radio to get to meet my co-host next week, Skeptical Scott. And next week, we're going to do the Skeptical Scott show. You're going to get to, really find out who we are, where we're coming from. And I want to hear from you. We have our comment line open, 503-746-TALK. We take your calls anytime, 24/7, 503-746-TALK. We have the facebook.com/filterfreeradio. On Twitter, @filterfreeradio. We're on Stitcher. We're on iTunes. We're on YouTube. Like us, find us, comment to us, and it's just me and Scott. Talk about independent grassroots. It's just me. I'm the creator, I'm the host, I'm the producer, I'm the engineer. I'm even the call screener. If you want to call into the radio show, it's just going to ring and ring and ring and ring, and then it's going to pick up, and you're going to be live on the air with me. There's no one else here. Okay? So that's how unfiltered it is, right? So I'm super excited, and without further ado, I have real serious stuff to get into here, as I do every program. There was an event yesterday in Portland, Oregon. Yours truly standing there. If you're watching us on the video stream, that's a picture of me in front of the banner. Downtown Portland, Oregon, 2 blocks away. We were 2 blocks away from President Jimmy Carter and President Jimmy Carter's book signing at Powell's Books. 2 blocks away from President Jimmy Carter, Evolve PDX was organizing this event basically to give free blankets to the homeless in need. That is the premise. That is the idea. No money, no leadership. It's just a redistribution of goods that people already have. People donate to Evolve PDX, blankets, clothing, etc. Evolve PDX organizes the event, gets together, puts all the stuff, and takes it to the folks who need it. And they organized a march in Portland, Oregon yesterday. And I spoke with, now first, I attended the march. I'm going to share all of the coverage and everything from the march. It's super cool. You're not going to want to miss this hour. And But first, before I get to the march, I had the opportunity to speak with one of the organizers of this event. And I love what Truman Town in the chat room at radioornot.com says, man, you should call it We Are Facts Radio. I dig it. We act radio. We are facts radio. I mean, it's all about the truth, so that's what it is. If you want to participate in the chat room, we do have a chat room. It's free. Hop in there. I am in the chat room and I'm reading. So, hey, chat room. Love you guys. Will from Chicago. Love you guys. Snork and everyone. I had the opportunity, back on track, focus. This is one of those shows where I've got so many things that if I don't stay on track, I'm not going to get to all of them. I got the opportunity to speak with one of the organizers of the Million Blanket March. Totally badass name, too. The Million Blanket March yesterday in Portland by Evolve PDX. Evolve PDX's Liberty Jones, one of the organizers of the event, spoke with me over the phone on the day before the event on Saturday and to really tell me what was going on. And I wanted to know because I wanted to show up. Here's a picture, again, if you're watching us on the Ustream, a picture of yours truly standing down there. Got my, Good Planets Are Hard to Find sweatshirt. Same sweatshirt I wore in Seattle. No coincidence. And so I want to share first the interview I did with the organizer of this event to kind of get us all on the same page. What is the Million Blanket March? Who are Evolve PDX? How can we get involved? This kind of thing. And how can people outside of the Portland area, like my friends at We Act Radio in Washington, D.C., how can we create our own Million Blanket March to help the homeless in our communities? Isn't that what we are called to do, to help those in need, our brothers and sisters in need, right? So first, my interview with the organizer, and then we're going to get to my coverage of the Million Blanket March. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. Enjoy. And on the line with us from Evolve PDX is Liberty, and Liberty is one of the organizers behind this weekend's Million Blanket March. Liberty, thank you so much for a few minutes of your time.
Thank you, Jacob. Thanks for having me on the show.
Tell us.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming on, man. I am so pumped for this event. And can you tell us, for our listeners who have no idea, what is the Million Blanket March?
Okay, the Million Blanket March. What we're doing is it's a part of the Op-Safe Winter series, I guess you could say, that we've been doing basically since the Million Mask March is kind of when it all started. It was a huge success, taking donations downtown to R2D2, and we've been kind of doing it once a month ever since. The Million Blanket March came from an idea that we had from our last Op-Safe Winter. We usually just meet in Elephant Park and pass out donations, hang out for a while, make friends, share ideas, things like that. But I noticed that, and this is where the reason for the Million Blanket March comes from, I noticed that nobody was taking the blankets at our last op. We gave away a lot of the stuff. It was getting towards the end. We had this huge box of big, fluffy blankets because we get good quality stuff because we take donations from estate sales and things like that. Nobody was taking the blankets, and I kind of wondered out loud why, these good blankets were just sitting there. And that's when they explained to me that people are not allowed to have blankets, or they're getting their blankets taken, or if they see you with a blanket, then they go and mess with you and shoo you off. And,
Wow.
and this is in the middle of the night, early in the morning. People are getting their structures destroyed. The stuff is just basically getting taken and thrown away. And with, we were obviously down there to help out and hand out supplies. But when they told me this, I don't know. It was, kind of hitting the heart. I thought that's not right. I get there's, social issues we have to deal with. So I was thinking about it, and within a couple of days, I, went to the group, and I said, 3 words: Million Blanket March. Let's turn what we do, this kind of community action, into a kind of a protest. So we're gathering all these donations, and we're going to actually march over to City Hall. We're expecting a lot of people. We're going to be going through downtown, through Saturday Market. We're going to nail down the route. So
yeah.
It's going to be some fun stuff. We got some speeches planned. We have some speakers. I'll be speaking there. We're going to be passing out. I think we're going to have a cookout, in the park before we leave. We're going to be passing out some cookies. We're all going to put out our blankets on the floor in front of City Hall. Hopefully, if it's not raining, I got some really kind of fun, funny, politically correct bedtime stories, to read along with our speeches and things. To kind of make it fun and kind of get a laugh, because one of our aims with this event is to, based on the, because it's such a kind of a tense subject, is a nonviolent, peaceful, no antagonizing the cops kind of an event.
Right.
We can still have a mass action with it running smoothly and safely. So that's one of our goals, and that's part of the reasons why when I get out there and speak, I like to crack a few jokes and kind of lighten things up, because I take a lot of cues from, comedians who are actually also, social critics or activists, and that's just a great way to communicate ideas. It elevates your brain to like a higher consciousness, and you're more receptive. If you're angry, if you're violent, that's not going to help anything. If smashing windows to help anything, we'd be doing that. It'd be the Million Window Smash March, bringing City Hall to their knees. I'm kidding.
Right.
But that's just what it is. It's like I said, it's a safe event. We're expecting families and things like that. And so yeah, I know it's kind of a long explanation, but
no, that's great.
That's kind of where it comes from.
And I'm so with you. And I think it's pretty fair to say that, like most rational thinking people would understand that, if you're homeless on the streets in the cold, having a blanket is kind of like the least that we could do, for these folks. So how can people get involved, and how can people help out? And tell us when exactly the Million Blanket March is.
Million Blanket March is Sunday at noon, Sunday the 30th, March 30th at noon at Elephant Park downtown in Portland. When I say Elephant Park, I mean the park on Burnside and 8th.
Okay.
There's a giant elephant in there.
Okay.
So it's Burnside and 8th, and that's the park that we're meeting at. So it's the one we always meet at for the Op-Safe winter. We're starting there. We're going to hang out there for an hour or two. And to get involved, all you have to do is show up. You can check the Million Blanket March event page. You can check Evolve PDX for updates or information.
And for
to donate, you can just...
I'm sorry to cut you off, Liberty. I was just going to mention for our listeners, we've got links to both of those pages now up on our Facebook page, Filter Free Radio, as well, to help out folks.
Okay, great. Yeah, you can just message Evolve PDX, because we have people all over the metropolitan area, and we actively take donations and contact people through Craigslist, so it's not a big deal if anyone has like a box of warm clothes or blankets or anything like that they want to donate, or just kind of support the cause. That's fine. Just message Evolve PDX. That's pretty much what it is.
Right.
We get a lot of donations by soliciting, or maybe not soliciting, but contacting Craigslist ads for estate sales. Because when people are moving out or when they pass on, there's just a lot of stuff there, and they try to sell it. They don't sell everything. Whatever doesn't sell, they just kind of give away. We go in there, we tell them what they do, or what we do, and that we donate to homeless folks downtown. A lot of them are veterans, by the way. We kind of lately have been telling them how the police and the City Hall has been treating them, and to any rational thinking person, that just makes a lot of sense that you wouldn't want to take their blankets. So we've been getting extra donations and extra support lately. So just from good people in the community, basically.
Excellent.
We kind of make it. We try to make it not about money. Like, we don't encourage people to spend money on this thing. They can if they want to. But the thing is, we're just trying to redistribute resources that are already out there. We're not looking to spend money and buy more things, because there's already so much. There's such an abundance. People looking to kind of tap into that and kind of recirculate it. And people are actually don't realize that there's just a basic thing just to kind of give away. If 2 or 3 blankets, it's not really a big deal to somebody who has a lot.
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 blankets to somebody who has nothing is a big deal. So we're just trying to communicate that idea as well.
Absolutely. And I'm so with you. And if folks are just joining us, we're speaking with Liberty from Evolve PDX, one of the organizers of the Million Blanket March here in Portland, Oregon, on Sunday, March 30th. They've got a Facebook page up for the event, and we've got a link to that on our Facebook page as well. Liberty, for the folks who might be listening outside of the PDX area, outside of Portland, is there a way for them to get involved, like on social media, on the Facebook page, and can they donate there?
Well, what we encourage people to do is maybe to kind of start their own,
Amen.
activity in their area.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What was that?
I'm so with you. I'm just, yes, get active and do, yes, I'm so with you. So I don't mean to interrupt.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing why we want to have a peaceful march, because like I said, we've been doing this for once a month, and since November. In November we did it twice, once including Black Friday. And we have this really great filmmaker on our crew. I'm sure you've seen the trailers or some of the videos from our past actions. Mm-hmm. And people are looking at what we're doing. They're seeing our formula that it works. We just kind of take donations, redistribute them among people who need them. Not about money. There's no leaders, no rules, no memberships, none of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they take that model and they apply it to their community, and suddenly you have OpSafe winners popping up like dandelions all over the country, even in Europe. I saw pictures of an OpSafe winner from Bulgaria, I think, or Budapest, one of those places, and they're seeing our videos and what we're doing in over 30 countries around the world, and we're getting a couple thousand views at least. And so that's what this message is resonating with people. People are seeing this, and they're seeing what works because they're hungry for solutions. People need solutions.
Yes.
There's no solutions from the leader. They're searching for that light in the darkness. They're aware something is amiss. People want it. The better nature speaks to us. Our humanity, and we want to be involved. We want to do something. So sometimes people, they need to be led. I mean, not all of us are organizers of an activist group or have their own radio show to
yeah.
go off steam. So
exactly.
This is just an easy way for people to be involved. Because if you pitch it in the sense that we use labels that kind of divide us whether we realize it or not. So when we say words or phrases like the homeless, it kind of has a negative connotation. But when you realize that a lot of these homeless are veterans,
right.
They're older folks, they're folks who have serious illnesses, they're children, they're human trafficking victims.
Exactly.
When you start to look at it like that, in a more human sense, then people begin to understand. A lot of people maybe just don't realize that they just have these prejudices in their mind. So it's, back to the part where it's the veterans, that's kind of a subject I like to push with people, because, it's okay to send these guys off to these illegal genocidal wars, but
right.
when they come back and they need a place to stay and they need to stay warm,
right.
suddenly, sorry, I can't help you, bro. That
right.
doesn't make any sense.
Right, and you can't even
in Vietnam, and it's happening now.
And can't even have a blanket. I mean, really. So I mean, we're just talking about the basics here, And I'm so with you, man. Good on you guys for what you're doing. I can't wait to come out this Sunday and be involved. I'll be there. I hope more people will show up and make it happen. And if you're not in the Portland area, like Liberty says, make it happen in your area. You can do it. You have control over what you do in your own life. And thanks again, Liberty from Evolve PDX, for your time, man. Is there anything planned or coming up following the march? Is there like a follow-up thing? Is there a second Million Blanket March? You have any ideas for the future?
Well, right now we've been, like I said, we've been doing this for a while. Let's see, there's nothing planned for us in the immediate future because we have, the city of Portland has May Day coming up.
Yes.
It's always a huge gathering.
That's a big deal.
March against Monsanto at the end of May. So that's another huge one. They're, trying to get 10,000 people down there. So I think we're going to maybe be contributing our efforts to the larger actions that are going on because, like I said, we've been working pretty hard in these cold months, our group, just trying to make things happen. And so we'll keep you posted.
Please do.
We do have some fun stuff in the works, but nothing I can really talk about yet.
Excellent.
But at the very least, we have March Against Monsanto and May Day. I invite everyone to be a part of those mass actions. It's a great deal of unity and solidarity there. They always have great speakers. The other thing I just want to add before we wrap it up, thanks for having me on. Thanks for sharing the Million Blanket March and Evolve PDX with your listeners.
Yes. Is
that what we're trying to do is explore the line between legality and morality, because what is legal is not really moral, and the moral things that we're trying to achieve sometimes can be deemed as illegal. So what
Yep.
City Hall, the police do, all these wars that they start, those are all legal things. Everything, that Bush, Obama, Hitler, everything they did is legal.
Yep.
So we're trying to kind of just do away away with that kind of it's the law, I'm just doing my job kind of mentality, and just get down to helping people and finding real solutions for, real issues.
I'm so with you. One of my favorite authors is Henry David Thoreau from like a couple hundred years ago. And I'm going to quote this. It's not verbatim, but he writes in his piece called Civil Disobedience, words to the effect of, I would define a real man as someone who is willing to follow their morality and their conscience before following the law. And sometimes those are the same thing, and sometimes those conflict. And I mean, it's up to the individuals to, are you going to stand for your morals? So I'm so with you, brother. Keep up the good fight. Folks need to check out Evolve PDX and show up at the Million Blanket March this Sunday, March 30th in Portland, Oregon, noon. It is Northwest 8th and Burnside, Elephant Park. Hope to see you there. Liberty, thanks again for your time.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
And there you go. Hey. Liberty Jones, one of the organizers of the Million Blanket March of Evolve PDX. So cool. Fantastic interview. Very smart dude. And, I mean, clearly, the march was yesterday, right? So the march has already happened. Good for you, though. I have, coming up after the break at the bottom of the hour, a super cool, like, documentary-style 15-minute video I'm going to share with you on our video broadcast. And, of course, our audio listeners are going to get the audio portion of that, which is good stuff. There's a speech in there. There's a lot of good stuff, a lot of interaction. So stay tuned. I'm going to share that with you coming up after the break. It's great stuff. And then also I have an interview with one of the hardest working activists in the entire city of Portland, Oregon, and that's saying something. I ran into friend of the show and one of my personal heroes, one of my personal inspirations, one of my personal motivations, Joe Walsh. No, not that Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh, the lone vet of Individuals for Justice. His website, individualsforjustice.com, or that is their website. You may remember we've interviewed Joe about 6 months ago, last summer, at one of the closed Guantanamo Bay protests happening at City Hall in Portland. At the time, Joe was involved in that protest, and I tell you, I call him one of the most hardest working activists in Portland because I follow his newsletter. I get his email updates, and Joe is literally on the ground, agitating, holding those in power accountable every single day of his life. And he's basically like, we talked, and I'm going to share the interview after the break. He's basically like, dude, I'm getting tired, man. Like, when are you guys going to pick up the ball? And I'm like, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I'm trying. We're working on it. We're organizing, right? So, we're going to take we'll take a real short break here at the bottom of the hour, and I want to come back. I've got to share with you the actual march of the Million Blanket March. We have that to share with you. I've got some other thoughts to share with you about what was going on yesterday, just 2 blocks away from President Jimmy Carter. We got to talk about all of that. And then in the second hour, what was happening in Seattle at the Progressive Radio Northwest Forum. Space Dog Radio and Mark Taylor Canfield join me again in the second hour. Don't go anywhere. Filter Free Radio continues right after this.
This is Filter Free Radio with Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott. This is what democracy looks like.
Hey friends, Jacob Dean here with exciting news. You can now hear my show, Filter Free Radio, on the free Stitcher mobile app. Just visit our website, filterfreeradio.com, scroll down on the left-hand side, and click on the Stitcher logo to hear us on Stitcher. That's all there is to it. No syncing, no taking up memory on your device. Just Filter Free Radio on demand for you on the go. Plus, you can rate and review Filter Free Radio on Stitcher. The more you rate, review, and share us, the higher we will rank on Stitcher, and that means the more people will discover Filter Free Radio. It's never been easier to enjoy Filter Free Radio and help us spread the word. Visit our website, filterfreeradio.com, and click on the Stitcher logo to hear us on Stitcher. Unfiltered radical truth-telling anytime, anywhere. Thanks, and keep up the good fight.
Like that little choo-choo in the children's book, Moral Monday is the little movement that says, I think I can, and it just keeps chugging up the hill. This Progressive Citizens Action Coalition in North Carolina became a full-throttle citizens uprising in the Tar Heel State early last year. Fueled by rising public outrage at the rampant right-wing extremism of the Republican-run state government, a few advocates for workers' civil rights and other people's issues went inside the state capitol on a Monday in April. Led by Reverend William Barber, head of the state NAACP, they literally put their bodies on the line in protest of the GOP's reckless crusade to turn North Carolina into a privatized utopia for unfettered corporate greed and Tea Party wackiness. Several of the small group were arrested that day, and Republican leaders berated their protest as Moron Monday. But the politicos aren't laughing now. The protesters kept coming, and their numbers kept growing. For Moral Monday had struck a chord, and the protests spread across the state. A rally in February drew more than 80,000 people, and public approval ratings for the governor and state assembly have tanked. The legislature is now out of session, but Moral Monday still has weekly meetings and is launching a 50-county organizing and voter education campaign this summer. It's no longer a protest, but a burgeoning multi-issue grassroots movement for progressive change. And it's literally on the move, branching out to other states. Moral Monday, Georgia is going full steam this year. South Carolina has a Truthful Tuesday movement gaining steam. And the movement is getting started in Alabama, Florida, New York, and Wisconsin. This is Jim Hightower saying, some of these states are mighty steep political hills for progressives to climb, but success begins with someone saying, I think I can. I think I can. To have a movement, you've got to start moving.
Hightower's commentaries are brought to you by the Hightower Lowdown, the monthly newsletter with Hightower's populist take on what the powers that be are up to. Find out more at hightowerlowdown.org.
Filter Free Radio. Filter Free Radio. Filter Free Radio with Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott.
Jacob Dean. With Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott.
Many activists, myself in the beginning included, mistakenly think that when we're protesting that our target is the government or our target is this corporation, when in fact the real target of our activism is mobilizing the people.
Filter Free Radio with Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott.
You're basically evangelizing. You're trying to get more people on your side to reach a critical mass to bring about real change.
FilterFreeRadio.com.
Progressives across the country are taking action, from Madison, Wisconsin to the Occupy movement. And now, Washington, D.C.'s newest talk radio station, We Act Radio. Progressive talk returns to our nation's capital. We Act Radio is proud to showcase the biggest names in progressive talk radio, including Stephanie Miller, Tom Hartman, Bill Press, Ed Schultz, Sam Cedar, and original live shows from our Anacostia studios. Speak Easy with Kamon Freeman and Ron Pinchback. Available on your radio dial and on the web at weactradio.com. That's We Act Radio, WPWC 1480 AM in Washington, D.C. Truth is our product.
This is Liberal Justice Radio.
It's not real. It's just a computer-generated fantasy.
Liberal Justice Radio on TuneIn and A Online Radio.
Filter Free Radio with Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott. Voices united for the 99%. FilterFreeRadio.com.
And welcome back to the show. It is so good to be with you. We're broadcasting on FilterFreeRadio.com, RadioOrNot.com, Liberal Justice Radio on the TuneIn app. And for the very first time, we are on the real radio, like the radio on 1480 AM WPWC in Washington, D.C., the one, the only, We Act Radio. It is so good to be with you, however you are joining us. I'm showing you a picture, if you're watching us on the video stream, of myself at the Million Blanket March, which took place yesterday here in Portland, Oregon. I'm checking out some of the folks in the chat room right now. Tom Schaefer of Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick is in the chat room, and Tom says, Million Blanket March looks like a really cool thing. It sounds awesome, and we need it in every city. Absolutely. Folks in the chat room, a couple of folks in the chat room are saying, I have a friend who makes, blankets out of recycled plastics. And Snork in the chat room is saying, make sure everyone gets a Snuggie because it's not like a blanket. So, interesting feedback in the chat room. You can always participate there. You can participate with the show on our comment line. Call into the show, 503-746 Talk. We would love to participate in the conversation. And back to the conversation before the break, the Million Blanket March. I want to share a couple of my thoughts really quick before I play you my documentary style 15-minute piece covering the event, and it's super cool. You're not going to want to miss this. This is very awesome. But I want to share a couple of thoughts first. First of all, if it wasn't for me walking out of DMV a couple of weeks ago and being willing to talk to the person who was gathering signatures for a petition for an initiative here in Oregon State, I would have never known about the Million Blanket March. And come to find out, I'm talking to this guy and he's like, will you sign this? And I always listen to what the petition is, because if it's something I believe in, that's one small step for change, right? So, and if it's something I don't believe in, I don't have to sign it. And I can speak my mind both ways. So I always check out, and it was something cool. So I sign, I'm talking to him. Come to find out, he's the organizer behind this event. He is Liberty Jones of Evolve PDX. And, at first I was like, wow, this is really cool. This dude is out here doing the hard work. So I should probably, listen to him. The dude is super smart. I mean, Liberty Jones needs his own Evolve PDX radio show. And I'm telling you, I will be more than happy to put it together, help you guys put it together. He's super smart. And so I'm talking to him. I give him my card. I want to talk to you. Let's do an interview, which I played before the break. And then I want to show up at the event, which I'm going to share with you now. And just a couple of thoughts. My girlfriend came with me. This is the very first time that she's ever participated with me in anything. I go to the coal protest. I go to the free, speech and media protest. I go to the Restore the Fourth protest. I go to the Occupy movement. I go to the Keystone XL protest. All of the above. She never goes with me. And she went with me this time because I convinced her that we're going to give blankets to the homeless, which is what it was, right? And so she went along with me, and afterwards, I really wanted to know what she honestly felt. And I wanted to share this with folks, and especially maybe some of the folks at Evolve PDX, that, afterwards I was talking with my girlfriend, and I asked her, what'd you think? What do you think? And she's like, you guys are doing, a really good thing, and, but she said, I asked her, well, and she gives me the look, you're not going to like what I'm about to say, right? That look. And I'm like, okay, just tell me. And she's like, I didn't feel safe. I did not feel comfortable, and I get that, And I saw a couple of people, what I was doing was I was, trying to get a look, all of the pictures I took of the event are up at our Facebook page, facebook.com/filterfreeradio. And you can see some of the pictures, I'm taking different shots of the crowd, different shots of these things. So I'm getting kind of a general, what is happening, big picture here. I saw a couple of people who saw, all these dudes in masks and totally went the other way kind of thing. I did see that. And speaking with my girlfriend, I can understand why she would say something like that. And, this is not a conversation to get into the whole, violence, nonviolence thing and the anarchy and, and Guy Fawkes, maybe we can have that conversation at some time. We have talked about on this program, I've talked about a lot of the time, always maintaining the moral high ground, always maintaining a nonviolent approach, because nonviolence tends to win over all hearts and minds more so than if you use violence. If you use acts of violence, it tends to push certain people that you could have reached away. And then there's like, you know, some baggage that comes along with the Occupy movement. You know, there were those individuals that, you know, smashed a Starbucks window or, you know, antagonized the police and these kinds of things. And it's unfortunate that, you know, one bad apple can ruin the bunch, or a big ship gets one hole in it, it might sink kind of thing. And we all get that. And we all get that there's no way you're going to be able to reach everyone, you know, doing something. Like, you will get certain types of people to show up to these protests if you do like the Guy Fawkes mask thing. And then you would get certain types of people to come to the same exact protest if you told them that, you know, Jesus said to help the homeless, right? And it's a completely radically different audience, right? And I'm just saying, like, y'all are trying to do the same thing. So can't we all just come together and make it work? And I think that yesterday's event by Evolve PDX, the Million Blanket March, was a fantastic example of how you can bring together people from all different walks of life, all different positions, and all different ideologies, and bring them together under one common umbrella that we are all in this together, right? So, that said, I've totally talked way too long, and I've got to share this video now with you. This is my coverage of the Million Blanket March that happened yesterday in Portland, and if you weren't able to make it to the event, I hope this will, do for you. And if you aren't in the Portland area, organize a similar event in your area. You can make it happen. Liberty Jones told us how to do it before the break. You know, you reach out to estate sales and the like, get donations, and redistribute the goods that already exist. No money involved, no leadership involved, no really organizing involved. You just kind of do it, right? And that seems to be the problem. So we can't do it. So people are doing it, and people made it happen. Evolve PDX. By the way, you find them on Facebook, facebook.com/Evolve PDX, the Million Blanket March. Enjoy.
One walk across in and out. Yep, you got to do it. These look great. This is the beginning of a Million Blanket March. We're rallying right now. As you can see, we got banners up over here. We got anonymous. We have activists. We have people from all over. It's still early. People are still showing up. This is real exciting. You know, everyone's really pumped up. The weather's good. So I can't say enough good things about what's happening right now. We have a lot of donations. We have a lot of supplies to distribute. Everyone's real positive here. And you know, this is what it's about. This is real solutions. We even have cops here, of course, you know, but this is going to be a safe event, so that's to be expected. That's about it. That's all I really got to say. I mean, this is where the energy happens. But what makes this one special is we're not just rallying at the park. We're going to be marching to City Hall. We're going to be going to Pioneer Square. We're going through Saturday Market. You know, we're going to share the message, and this resonates with people. Because this is about human rights. It's about being you know, having a heart, you know, caring about what happens in your community. So.
Maybe it's another to right back.
You will be later. This will definitely work.
I'm so proud of this. Look at this child.
From Rust estimate, there's probably 40, 50 people here already. How many were you expecting?
Between about this and 100.
Okay.
Like, you know, if you notice, we got some really what I would say all-star activists here. We got the Fight Church guy here. We have Antonio, who sells Cascadia as fuck t-shirts. We have Jordan over here. He's a filmmaker. We have our own filmmaker, of course. You yourself are here. We have the crew from R2D2. We have a big collective of people here. You know what I mean? A lot of Ibrahim Mubarak is out here. I mean, these guys. You know, this is the when you have activism here in Portland. These are the people who come out. You know, this is who you want on your team. So this is all really good stuff. We have new faces here. People who are just finding out about what we're doing. Those people are here too. So it's good. It's good stuff.
What would you say to the folks who don't have this happening in their neighborhood? What should they be doing?
You can check out our videos. You can adopt our model of activism, and you can apply it to your community. All we do is we redistribute resources that are already existing, as in taking donations from estate sales or even from businesses, and we give them to people who need them the most. I mean, that's really what it is. We don't make it about money, we don't make it about having leaders or rules or anything like that. It's just an effective model for solutions, for helping people. It's not it's not rocket science, yeah.
Right.
You know?
Right on. Liberty, bro, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you for putting this on, man.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to be giving a little speech later, so you might want to catch that too. I got a couple of things planned, so.
Excellent.
I'm just getting everybody there. Sorry, man. Ready?
Like, how far you came to be here?
We drove 167 miles to be here today because we believe in equality for all people, for all creatures, for all lives.
Right on. Right on.
This is for you guys, man.
I'm part of like Green too.
Are you? Yeah, we're going to be doing a big run over to R2D2 at the end of all this. And bringing all the leftovers and everything else.
Mr. Bob.
Sure.
You guys
Any of these can take away? Any of these?
Yeah, right. Somehow that'll be back.
My sheet. Awesome. I'm really glad that you like the actual style of it. Good. I don't think this is really good. This one?
I was on the Mac the other day, and I was talking to a young veteran, and he was about to turn 21, and he had already served in Baghdad. He was wondering out loud to me why the government allows him to kill people, but the government doesn't allow him to buy or drink alcohol. You know, I didn't know what to say. The closest I ever came to serving in Baghdad was living in Los Angeles. Pretty close. But after thinking about it, I realized what it is, and that is that society has lost the ability to distinguish between morality and legality. What is moral is not always legal, and what is legal is not always moral.
Yeah.
Everything that Charlie Hales does, the cops do, is legal. Everything Obama, Bush, Hitler, everything they did or still do is legal. We're here to challenge that idea. The limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. So that's what it is. We're here to explore the line between morality and legality, because obviously what we know is going on is not right. So we're here to pitch in and offer some real solutions. So, with that being said,
yeah. Woo!
Welcome to the final Opsafe winner of the season, the Million Blanket March, everybody.
Hey!
That was great. First off, I just want to say that this is a non-violent event. No violence allowed. Why? Because the world is watching us. I don't mean like the NSA watching us. I mean that too, obviously, but literally the world is watching us. Thousands of people in over 30 countries around the world are seeing what we're doing. So, let's set a good example. Also, unsafe winners are popping up like dandelions all over the country and even in Europe. We are helping to inspire worldwide change here. Let's lead by example. Okay? No violence. Absolutely. The other thing is no antagonizing the cops. No antagonizing the cops, no provoking the cops. Why? Because we didn't bring enough donuts to win. We don't benefit.
No donuts on fishing poles.
Hey.
But seriously, folks, what we need to do is occupy the moral high ground. Governing with violence is not really governing at all. We don't need violence. We don't need violence. Our voices are louder than a bomb. Our actions are louder than a bomb.
Amen.
The very existence an act of rebellion. If you need violence to enforce your ideas are bullshit.
Yeah! Woo!
I got one more thing I'd like to share with you guys before I turn the microphone over to whoever else wants to speak, or we can just go ahead and ship out. This is an article I came across. It's an interview with Charlie Hales. I'd like to share it with you. I'd like to read it with you, read it to you. But I'm having a little bit of trouble understanding some of the material here. So, Nice Weekend, she's going to help us out with reading some of the questions. She's going to read off the questions, and I'm going to answer on behalf of Charlie Hales. I'm just going to read to you what he said. So just kind of give you an idea. We'll kind of give you a visualization here. So Nice Weekend means never silent in German, by the way. So I think she'll be a good...
Never silent.
So, Nye, why don't you go ahead? Nye's reading the questions. I'll be waiting for Charlie to go. Okay, so we're clear on that?
Yes, Charlie.
Yeah. I'll be able to figure that out.
Hey, Charlie. Alright, this is my first time talking on here. Am I loud enough?
Yeah!
Alright, okay, cool. So, Mayor Charlie Hales, how do you feel about being called a Nazi in social media?
Lügen und Scheiße. Lügen und Scheiße. Zusammen dämlich. Kein Marihuana raus in Internet Army. Wir müssen aufhalten.
Mr. Hales, oh my goodness. Charlie Hales says, lies and shit mixed together. No marijuana smoking. Internet Army will stop me. Marijuana smoking. Oh, did I get that backwards? No marijuana smoking. Internet Army will stop me. Oh. Wow. Really? Is that what he said?
Ooh.
So, Mayor Charlie Hales, what can be done about the homelessness situation in downtown?
Who played the script? Es ist nicht überall so sein. Sei das Gift zu brechen. Politik gibt es Geld und Macht. Geld ist Einfluss in den Ländern. In der Tat, das Arbeit als Bürgermeister heißt es eigentlich so Kaffee Kampf Jefferson Smith. Ich brauch sein Fahrrad. Ich bin rücksichtslos. Mal sehen, ob mir Charlie und der Schokoladenfahrrad war.
Alright. Well, it's not about homelessness, it's about lawlessness, unquote. Politics is about money and power. Money in one hand, power in the other. In fact, to get this job as mayor, I actually had to cage fight Jefferson Smith. I broke his bicycle. I'm ruthless. Let's see if he calls me Charlie in the chocolate factory again. Alright. Let's calm this down now. Let's change the subject. Something a little bit more lighter. Things are getting kind of heated up here. So, last question. How do you like to make your chocolate chip cookies come out nice and fluffy? On one egg. That's what he says. And one cruelty-free lactose-free, cage-free egg, the one that's a pet chicken. You know.
Right on. That's all we got. We've got more for you along our route, guys. So let's go ahead and load up our wagons and ship out.
Woo!
Let's have a good million bucks.
Hey!
Oh, great. Right on. Okay, we're gonna pause here. There's a group to come together. World peace and to take care of our brothers and sisters. Woo! Free blankets for the homeless. Hey, good guy. Going down 6th Avenue. Everybody turn around. Take a shortcut, come on.
Hi, Chad. Hi, Sean.
Oh, there we go. They gave you your food. I will never forget that. Yeah. Some people do.
Joe Walsh. I'm a retired chief union steward for the IBEW. And today we are gathered here, a number of organizations trying to supply the people that are forced to live on the street blankets and some food, and to celebrate that we are connected with them.
You should have expected us.
We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget.
You should have expected us.
There you go. Very cool stuff. And I mean, my point is first of all, the Million Blanket March and Evolve PDX are not going to be covered in the media whatsoever, not even in local media. You mean the local NBC affiliate's not going to cover your protest? No. And so I'm just saying, like, there are really smart people working really hard out there to do really good things, and just because they like to wear a mask and, you know, listen to dubstep and, you know, dance with glowing lights, you know, that has a tendency to turn away people and to not get coverage. And I'm saying, you guys are giving blankets to the homeless. I don't care what freaking mask you have on. Good on you for doing the right thing. And I said, hey, Liberty Jones, Evolve PDX, anytime you have an upcoming event, you have an open mic here, we got to talk about it, we got to promote it. And I mean, as long as you maintain a, you know, moral high ground, non-violence kind of thing, which, I mean, I'm going to out myself as the hippy-dippy, tree-hugging, progressive liberal from Portland. I don't like violence. So it's like a Jesus thing for me. So, like, as long as we do the right thing, I'm with you. I don't care, you know. And my whole thing was, people are going to ignore this. And the people who don't, you know, ignore this, people who get to see this are going to turn away from it because it's like, oh, you know, they got masks on and we're scared, you know. They you know, one of them broke a window once. And I'm just like, no, man. I mean, these are really smart people doing really good things. And we really have to shatter those paradigms that say, you know, I can't, you know, be a part of this because, you know. But, and like I said, like, my girlfriend was with me and she's like, I don't feel comfortable here. I don't feel safe here. And so, you know, there's that too. I get that. So anyways, I just want to give a tip of the hat to Liberty for coming on the show, to everyone at Evolve PDX for making it happen, making a difference, being the change, and showing up. I mean, yeah, we could have been at President Jimmy Carter's book signing 2 blocks away for free and get to meet President Jimmy Carter, but I decided to go do this instead. So, in hindsight, would have been really cool to see President Jimmy Carter at Pal's Books, but I'm just saying, right? Okay, it is the top of the hour. Matter of fact, I've gone over, and normally right now what I would do is play another 5-minute commercial break. But what I'm going to do instead of that, what I like to do occasionally, is play more content for you on the breaks, like, because I don't like to take a break. Like, the struggle never stops. There is no taking a break, right, in the struggle. So on this break, we are going to, I'm going to share with you my interview with Joe Walsh, the lone vet, Individuals for Justice, the website individualsforjustice.com. We've spoke with Joe in the past. We've interviewed him on this program before, and I believe he is one of the hardest working activists in Portland. He is a personal motivation, a personal inspiration of mine. And without further ado, here is Joe telling it like it is at the Million Blanket March. And we'll be right back after this with the Progressive Radio Northwest Forum that happened in Seattle. Very cool stuff. You'll want to stay tuned. Filter Free Radio, making it happen.
My name is Joe Walsh. I'm a retired chief union steward for the IBEW. And today, we are gathered here, a number of organizations, trying to supply the people that are forced to live on the street blankets and some food, and to celebrate that we are connected with them. I am not homeless. I'm a retired federal worker and also a retired chief union steward. I've been active ever since I sent a letter when I was in the Navy in 1970 to the Chief of Naval Operations opposing the Vietnam War. I haven't stopped since then. So what happened to me in 1968, I made the statement that if we got out of Vietnam, I would think it was a disgrace and I would take my uniform off. By 1970, 2 years later, I was protesting out the very base I was stationed at. So in those 2 years, from 68 to 70, a drastic change took place with me. I haven't stopped. We belong to an organization, a very loose-knit, no dogma organization called Individuals for Justice. We come together, things like this, to support people that are trying to make change. The city council is totally tone deaf to what's going on in the streets. The only one that has any sense is Amanda Fritz, and she stands alone. She's got 4 jerks to work with, and I just feel really bad for her, except when she joins them, I hammer her as hard as I hammer the others. So we're here today, we're saying the mayor, who is the police commissioner, stop these damn sweeps, stop stealing stuff from the very people that we're trying to support. If you do that, there's a special place in hell for you, Mayor. There is. If I die, and I will soon, I will look at the roster, and if you're in heaven, I'm leaving. Because what you're doing is the ugliest thing that I know. To take a blanket away from someone who is cold, or to tell someone they can't stand under an awning when it's raining, that is inhuman and will not tolerate. It may take 10 years, 15 years, but your political future is finished, Hales. Understand that. That thing that you wanted to go be governor, forget about it. You're stuck here. And every Wednesday we will come down and we will yell at you and we will tell you until these damn sweeps stop. Get the goddamn cops away from these people and leave them alone and help them, and don't handle the homeless the way you would handle trash. And you will have us to face. We will not let you off the hook. You may think these are people that you can get away with. You're wrong. Because it's happening. You know what there, Commissioner Fish? Your approval rating is at 29%. You're a sitting commissioner who's been around for a while. And your approval rating is at 29%. You could lose this election. Maybe not this one, but maybe next one. But you're going to get your ass out of the council because you know better. You were a union lawyer. You know better. And you are one of the worst commissioners I've ever seen in my life. Because Salzman doesn't know anything, but you know a lot. And you still hurt people. And you know, Vic, I call you Brutus because you stab people in the back. We worked on your campaign for the Senate, and you almost made it. And I was proud of that campaign. I was proud of you. And since you've sat on that seat in the council, you are a disgrace. Your political future is finished also. So, folks, we're here, we're celebrating, but it doesn't mean that we're not pissed off. It means that we're going to continue this fight. There's a lot of organizations here, a lot of different philosophies, but we agree on one thing. Human rights are human rights, and a place to sleep and eat and be safe is a human right by anybody's standards. You hear me there, Mr. Mayor? Thank you. My name is Joe Walsh.
This is Filter Free Radio, live every Monday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern.
You have two choices. You can say, look, everything's hopeless, so I'm not going to do anything, and help guarantee that the worst will happen. Or you can say, well, things are tough, but they've been worse before, and if we get engaged, maybe we can carry things forward. Between those two choices, there's no real choice.
Your number one source for unfiltered truth, analysis, and solutions. FilterFreeRadio.com.
Don't you wonder why we never talk about the
Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the second hour. Filter Free Radio. Jacob Dean here with you live from Portland, Oregon. It's so good to be with you. However, you are joining us at our website, filterfreeradio.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Stitcher, YouTube, iTunes. It's all free. And I really hope you check it out. I really hope you spread the word. We're a grassroots organization, bottom up. I don't take any money. I don't play any commercials. My opinions are not paid for. And any way this show grows is simply by word of mouth. You tell 5 friends, they tell 5 friends, they tell 5 friends. Maybe one of those friends says, hey, this show should be on We Act Radio, 1480 AM in Washington, D.C., and then it happens, right? So thank you. Again, the big announcement of the show, the biggest announcement ever of Filter Free Radio is we have officially been syndicated on terrestrial radio. Thank you, We Act Radio, 1480 Washington, D.C. Check them out, weactradio.com. Super big news there. All right, without further ado, it is time to get into a conversation that happened actually last week in Seattle at Impact Hub, which is something revolutionary in its own sense. Like, I am prepared to do the Filter Free Radio episode, probably like, it's going to be like 115-ish, Filter Free Radio episode of What is Impact Hub Seattle? But the folks at Progressive Radio Northwest, their website is progressiveradionorthwest.org, organized a open to the public panel discussion at Impact Hub Seattle, talking about everything from the future of progressive radio, the future of independent media, social networking, how does it all tie together? And I'm showing you on the video screen a picture of Phil, from left to right. You're looking at Phil from Progressive Radio Northwest, our moderator, a good friend of the program, independent journalist Mark Taylor Canfield, who's been on our program several times. Newly good friend of the program, Space Dog of Space Dog Radio, who's going to be joining us coming up in about 20 minutes. And hey, there's that hippy-dippy, tree-hugging liberal Jacob Dean with his sweatshirt that says good planets are hard to find. Yep, we were there, man, and we made it happen. And we took questions from audience members, and we had a fantastic discussion about all of those topics. I want to share a couple of clips, a couple of highlights with you from this forum. I know not everyone was able to make it to Seattle, right? And I want to play a couple of clips. I like to bring some of these things to you so we can all engage and be inclusive. Like, for me, it's about being inclusive, not exclusive. If we're going to be serious about change and making real change happen, we need everyone on board to do it. We need everyone involved. So we have to win over every heart and win over every mind, and we be inclusive and we interact. And so here is one of the lists, and these are so important. Like, it's so important for me to get feedback from people, to actually understand where my listener is coming from, because I want to develop a relationship with you, and I want to understand your needs and address the needs. And it's very important for me to listen to you. And this is why we have a telephone number that you can call me anytime, 24/7, whenever you'd like, 503-746-TALK. You can email us. You can Facebook us. You can tweet us, all of the above. And I want to continue the conversation. So Mark Taylor Canfield is going to join me in a couple of minutes. Space Dog of Space Dog Radio is going to join me in a couple of minutes. And due to the beauty of the interwebs, we are going to recreate the panel for you right here in a few minutes. But first, here's a listener question, a listener in the Seattle area. And the premise here is Seattle used to have a progressive radio station. Portland used to have a progressive radio station. San Francisco, I'm talking about KPTK, KPOJ, Green 960. These were Clear Channel-owned radio stations. Bain Capital financed, Clear Channel-owned progressive radio stations. And you can tell what happened with that. Axed. So here is a Seattle listener who attended the forum, basically saying, KPTK is gone, KPOJ is gone. What are we doing about that? And that was kind of the premise of the conversation. Here is a little bit from that.
Okay, I'm going to speak from the standpoint of a listener, all right? I have habits. I get in my car, I take metro. It's time where my mind wanders. I don't like that. If I can turn on the radio and pick up Stephanie Miller and set the tone of my day with the what you call the Mogs or Mooks, that's something I look forward to. On my commute back home, I'm turning into Norman Goldman, and I liked his particular format. It becomes a habit, but more than just a habit, it's also something that stirs me. It stimulates me to do action steps, to get involved with more progressive organizations, maybe in the city or involved nationally. So I guess that's what's upsetting to me is it was part of my habit. I would love to have that, be able to make that deliberate decision to, punch into my laptop, pull up, Tom Hartman or half a dozen other folks that have been, mentioned here tonight. But that's what I really miss. And is that lazy? I don't know. I just wish it was back. That's all.
Well, there's no reason that online websites can't do that. There's no reason why. I mean, basically, Radio or Not is like that. If you look at their schedule, you'll know. Or if you look at each program, it'll tell you what time it's going to be on. So you can, I suppose, if you're in your car, like Norman Goldman was saying, you plug in into your audio, into the speakers in your car, your audio device, and you enter. Okay, it's 3 o'clock, so Norman Goldman's on. So you type in normangoldman.com, goes to the site, you see the live stream link, and you hit it. Now you've got video if you want to look at it, but when you're driving, you can listen to it. What I do, and probably what other folks do, is I literally, I know these programs really well, like you all did. I still know what time they're live. So I just search for them when I know they're live. So I know that Norman Goldman is on 3 to 6. I know that Mike Malloy, this is Pacific time. I know Mike Malloy is still on 6 to 9. I know Carl Wolfson on the X-ray station down in Portland is on at 7 to 9 a.m. So once I get the schedule in my head, then I know who I'm going to listen to at what time. And, maybe sometimes I'll skip and do something else, not that day. But that's what I do.
Just real quickly, I think we're about ready to wrap up, right? It's getting closer. But, if you go online and just look up progressive radio stations, there's a great one in Chicago, a great one out of Phoenix, and they run the same thing, Ed Schultz, Stephanie Miller, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a really easy way to do it. You just take your smartphone, plug it in your car, and you can listen to it anytime. You don't have to worry about it. The trick is having a smartphone that can do that. We at Space Dog Radio, we pride ourselves on doing independent broadcasts fully remotely. We call ourselves a remote location radio station, which means you can listen to us anywhere, anytime if you've got online access. And that gives you the ability to choose whatever program you want to hear. We're not forcing you to hear anything. We actually did a broadcast on a ferry boat and a video of it going through Orcas Island, where we're playing the radio literally, and there's nothing to it. It's broadcasting right from the car. So it's definitely possible. And I think a really good point here is it's going to take a paradigm shift with listeners to kind of take that extra step. Yes, you have to plug in your smartphone, and yes, you kind of have to know the website. But after that, it's going to be as easy as what you usually do now, is just turning the dial. So once listeners kind of get that change going, then they've got a whole new access to listenership, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would just add really quickly for time, ask yourself, why did KPTK and KPOJ and Green 960 disappear? It's very simple. Corporate media, mainstream media, commercial radio is not going to air or promote or sustain anything that would work against its own best interest, like progressive radio. And two, most potential advertisers or potential investors, especially corporate donors, Walmart, BP, GE, are not going to endorse something that is often critiquing themselves and powerful public figures in the corporate state takeover of democracy. So the reality is terrestrial radio costs a lot of money, millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. And, where's that money going to come from? So what is the alternative? You look at nonprofit community-based radio stations that are listener supported. You've got KEXP in Seattle. You've got the news station down in Portland is X-Ray FM, and they just said, hey, we want to do a progressive radio station on the air in Portland. Can you give us some money? They got $100,000. You think $100,000 would be a lot of money to put together a radio station. Their signal is so weak, I'm telling you, that you can only pick it up in like maybe 1 or 2 neighborhoods in Portland. You go anywhere farther west than I-5 and 26, or you go farther north than 84, and you've lost the signal. And that's $100,000. So the reality is terrestrial radio is very expensive. And unless we've got a BP or Walmart to back us, which I doubt that's going to happen, we're going to really have to find that alternative.
And here you are at filterfreeradio.com, right? The alternative you can trust. Shut out the poison of the corporate media. Real quick, I'm not trying to dog X-Ray there, and I know it might come off and sound like I'm like, oh my God, their signal's so weak. I was just trying to communicate to the audience that like $100,000, which to you and me is a ton of money, that's like 5 years worth of work, right? $100,000 doesn't get you anything in the terrestrial radio world. And that was all my point. Like, I wish X-Ray had the strongest signal in the whole area, and they blew everyone else out. And I would love to work for X-Ray Radio, X-Ray.FM, Adam Klugman, Carl Wolfson. Give me a call, man. I'll be there. And he's been so patiently waiting on the phone line now for about 5 minutes. And I got to bring into the conversation now the one, the only, the fearless, independent journalist, Mark Taylor Canfield out of Seattle. Follow him on Twitter. Follow him on Facebook, M. Taylor Canfield. And Mark, now since we've met, I mean, you are officially one of my brothers from another mother. And I just got to say, man, fantastic forum. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so honored, and it was a privilege to be a part of it, man. And how you doing? How's it going there?
Oh, it's busy as usual in Seattle, but the sun's out, so that's nice. And I definitely want to thank you and Space Dog for coming all the way up to Seattle for that forum. We really appreciate your effort, and it was very interesting. And as I was listening to that audio, these things have been jumping into my head that I've been talking with friends about, oh man, over the last year at least. But these are the ongoing conversations I have with everyone now, whether they're artists or broadcasters or media junkies or whatever. They're saying, what are we going to do during this transition period, Mark? And I said, well, okay, I'm going to start looking at it this way. And that is, number one, for people who are a little bit worried about using their laptop or their desktop or their handheld mobile device, whatever it happens to be, to access media, I'm going to say to them from now on, you've got right there, maybe in your hand, the most powerful multimedia instrument that's ever been created on this planet. Yeah. Now, if you don't want to use it, I really don't have much to say.
Or if you can't figure out how to use it, which is me.
In a lot of cases, I think it is a technophobia, and it's also people who, this is the other issue that came up, okay? Right. People are used to being programmed. Right. That means you tune into a programming schedule, which programs you. Think of it that way. Every day you get up to Randy Rhodes, or every day you get up to Bill Press, or whatever. Right. Fine. If that's what you want, is to be programmed by a network's programming, go for it. But if you want to be an independent, free-thinking person who takes that first step in the new paradigm, which is I get to choose when and where and what I listen to, now you're breaking free. Now you're a free-thinking person. Now you're independent. And you can go out there and find anything you want. Woo! You can listen to radio or television from Ireland, South America, Asia, yes, Africa, whatever you like. It's there. If you're willing to take that step. Now, if you're not willing to take that step, that's fine. But I just don't have any more great arguments for why not anymore, because I think it's just self-apparent that when you're given a tool that allows you access to so much amazing media, it's up to you to use it or not. Right. And that's your choice. Absolutely. And also, one more quick point. Yeah, man. There's no reason, right? I would like to pick your brain about this. Why can't there be a website like Progressive Radio Northwest, which serves as a hub and has 24-hour live streaming media, which are links to live streams from all of the folks that people in Seattle and Portland love, the Norman Goldmans, the Mike Malloys, the Tom Hartmans. Why can't there be a website which is nonprofit or potentially even free, but has links to all those live streams? And to me, that's no different than getting in your car and punching a button. That's no different than turning on your AM radio receiver.
Yep.
Why can't that happen? And does it have to do possibly with licensing fees? Wouldn't these folks, even especially the ones who are not subscribers, wouldn't they love to have another place where people could tune in and hear what they're doing and maybe jump on board? What do you think?
Yes. There is no reason why it shouldn't exist, subject to the logistics behind it in order to create it. I mean, there literally has to be someone who knows how to do websites to create the website. I'm not the website guy. There has to be someone with a broadcast background that can kind of insert into the website the broadcasting aspect of it. That's where I could come in. And it actually has to be created. That's all. And I'm so with you, Mark. And as we heard in the clip, I mean, my point is we have to, transition ourselves to media outlets that we can trust. And people get into habits. Like, I have habits. Like, I totally get that you want to read the newspaper, like actually read the newspaper and have a cup of coffee in the morning. Like, I get that. But print is dying, right? And the newspaper doesn't get delivered to the doorstep anymore, at least not here in Oregon anymore. And so what do you do, right? And there are models, my point was, there are models that can exist in, the traditional outlets of nonprofit, of listener-supported. I mean, it's X-Ray FM, it's We Act Radio in D.C., it's KEXP in Seattle. It can exist, but they are limited, hardcore limited on funding and reach and potential, because the game has changed. The game is rigged. You don't hate the player, hate the game. And so, I mean, I'm with you, Mark, but there is no reason.
Maybe some of the backlash against it is that folks have learned how to monetize commercial radio stations. Because I've been saying for years to all the people I work with in radio that it's not about the tower. Please believe me, it's not about the tower. So maybe they just know how to monetize through advertising or subscribers how to run a terrestrial radio station. And the challenge or the issue for them is, well, we don't really want to go online because we don't know how to sustain ourselves doing that.
Right. And you know what? One of the things that I'm wrestling with, Mark, right now is after the forum, like, I am on a mission at some point to completely organize the 2-hour filter-free radio special on how to literally recreate exactly what I'm doing step by step, like pragmatic, like, this is how you get a microphone, this is how you get the computer connected, this is how you get the audio board plugged in, this is what you use to broadcast, this is what you use to record it, this is how you post it on your website. Like, I want to do that so I can empower people. Like, I mean, I love giving people fish and feeding people when they're hungry, but if I can teach you how to fish, you know what I'm saying? So I'm with you, man. And we're making it happen. You, Mark Taylor Canfield, you are the reason why, like, I know of Space Dog Radio now. And the people at Progressive Radio Northwest know who we are. And it's like, not by chance. It didn't just, like, the fairy, civil rights, human rights godmother just didn't come out of nowhere and say, poof, now everybody knows what everyone else is doing. No, we have to work hard. And a lot of the times, like I was telling one of the listeners outside of the forum, outside of Impact Hub Seattle, it's like, I have to remind myself every day we do this radio show that not many people are going to find me. Not many people are going to interact. I'm not going to get a gold star. I'm not going to get a pat on the back. I'm not going to get any money from Walmart or BP or GE for calling them out, And it is then apparent to me that I cannot maintain this radio show on, like, a financial basis. Of course, listener funded, crowdsourcing, Kickstarter, Indiegogo is how you do that. But I want to maintain it on a moral obligation basis, and that's how I keep going. So, but anyways, man, I'll talk forever, dude. So, I want you to.
I just had one more point about the website, and that is, okay, take out the live streaming and just put the links up. Anybody can get a free website on WordPress and just put the links up and the schedule so that all you have to do is turn on your computer, look at that website, and any time of day you'll know that, Jacob and Scott are broadcasting today in Portland, and at the same time, Danielle's over there on Talking Left, or, Brad on, or guest hosting for Jeff Santos in Boston, and that would be a very, very easy, simple way to bring it all together. It would just take the extra step of, okay, what do I want to listen to right now, and then click. I know some people will say, oh, it's too much, but I'm telling you, really, the slight effort that it would take to click on a link would be well worth your time, and I don't know why more people aren't doing this. They could be up everywhere.
Right.
And I just think.
I think, and the best part about the clip that we played and what we're referencing, and that audience member who said, he said words to the effect of, I have habits and I want to go to the radio dial and tune in the radio dial. The best part about his experience that night, Mark, and I'm sure you remember this, was when he asked a question that's not on the microphone, unfortunately, and he pulls out his smartphone and he's like, dude, I just pulled up Ustream right now, and this live now, and we just literally shattered his paradigm right there of, oh my goodness, look at all this stuff that's just on Ustream, and at first, yeah, it's totally overwhelming because there's so much, and it's so oversaturated. Where do you go? Who should you listen to? I say listen to whoever you're passionate with, whoever you align with. That's why we're all different, and the beauty of uniqueness. It's all out there. So.
It's also part of what social networking is about. It's just telling your friends and letting them know. And there are certain people I've known in the community for so long and I know what they're about, and I know who they associate, what kinds of work they do and media they do. So I trust them. So if they are telling me, that I should tune into Carl Wolfson in Portland on X-Ray Radio every morning from at 9 a.m., I will do it. Or I guess it's 7 to 9.
7 to 9, it's all right. Adam Klugman comes on at 9 a.m., so that's a perfect plug.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't know about that except having talked to you. Yeah. So I appreciate those tips, and then I try to follow up on them and make sure that, everyone knows about each other. It's an organic way of networking, but it does work. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's kind of how grassroots things start, and then we have these little families of people doing interesting stuff, so we are inspired by each other, and we learn from each other, and we get tips from each other about, what's going on in the world, and it's a very healthy thing.
Right.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Hi. Just wanted to say hi to Scott.
Oh, Mark, Scott's not here this episode. I'm sorry. He is in the middle of moving, literally, right now. And so between moving this week and work, he just couldn't make it. The computer's literally, not set up, and the internet's not set up in the new place yet. And so Scott, brother, is not with us at the minute, but he's definitely going to be with us next show. And I'm super excited because this is our first show that's been picked up by We Act Radio, another nonprofit community radio station in Washington, D.C., on the dial 1480 a.m. outside of D.C., weactradio.com. And as you know, Mark, Scott is a Washington, D.C. native, and so the audience of We Act Radio and Skeptical Scott are going to blend so well. And you can listen online to X-Ray FM. The website literally is xray.fm. Someone in the chat room is mentioning. Adam Klugman is going to be on Filter Free Radio soon. He's a friend of mine, and I can't wait to get him on and talk about his show as well. And I'm also, Mark, if you're able to hang on the line for a few minutes, I'm anticipating a call from the third panelist that was with us up at the Progressive Radio Northwest Forum, the one, the only Space Dog of Space Dog Radio. And I think Space Dog is going to be calling in here in just a couple of minutes to talk with us, and we can kind of continue the conversation. I love the idea that ask and we shall receive. So on the line with us for the very first time is the one and the only Space Dog, host of the online program Space Dog Radio. You can find it at spacedogradio.com. And Space Dog, it is so good to have you on the program, man. Good to speak with you again.
It's great to be on Filter Free Radio, and congratulations on the pickup for We Act Radio in D.C. That is fantastic.
It's a party, brother. It is a party. And I didn't want to like go public with the news before everything was in place, but you know how that goes. So we're super excited. And first of all, for people who have no clue, tell us, what is Space Dog Radio, and tell us what you're up to and how people can find out. And just before we get back into like the panel discussion, tell us what's going on at spacedogradio.com.
Well, that's my favorite question. What is Space Dog Radio? And then the next question is, where can we find you on the radio? Well, then I have to explain. We're a web-based radio station. We cover a wide range of topics from environmental, social, health, environmental, political satire, a bunch of comedy, a bunch of tech. And so we cover a wide spectrum of topics for all types of humans, not only for the United States, but we have a lot of listeners predominantly in Australia, Japan, and all throughout Europe, and we are very grateful for those people to tune into. So Space Dog Radio is an independent online radio station, and we've been doing this for a couple of years now, and gaining momentum by every broadcast. We've got some great listeners out there, and it's really exciting to be connected with great journalists like Mark Taylor Canfield and yourself to build momentum behind independent media sources that people can look to and trust.
Absolutely. I'm so with you, brother. And if it's all right with you, I would like to share our little like hidden connection thing that I didn't even know about, you know, and I'd never heard of Space Dog Radio before Mark Taylor Canfield got us together and organized this event up in Seattle with Progressive Radio Northwest. Never heard of you before. And I'll admit my ignorance on the air, and that's kind of how it goes with the independent alternative operations. It's like, unless you kind of happen upon it somehow, we don't really know what's going on. I discover new stuff all the time. And so, you know, I get to meet you. We're up in Seattle. We're hanging out, and we're talking. And come to find out, you know, I'm talking to you, and you're like, I'm about to blow your mind, right? You know, because I'm going through my history. Like, I went to Benson High School in Portland. I went to KBPS. I'm a 1480 AM KBPS graduate. Went to Mount Hood Community College. Did Portland radio since, you know, junior year in high school. And Space Dog is like, I'm going to blow your mind, dude. I went to KBPS at Benson High School, and I'm like, no way! And here we have this such an intimate connection. Like, people who've been through the KBPS program understand the intimacy of KBPS, and it's a whole different conversation. But I didn't even know that, and here we are, like, doing our own thing, you know? And so I'm just super excited that we've been able to come together. And for folks who are just joining us, we're going to get a link up to Space Dog Radio on our website. We're going to hopefully be airing some sort of Space Dog Minute on our program every week on a weekly basis, and just really try to build the network between the independent operations that are going on. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so what we have going on with Space Dog Radio, like I said, we cover a wide range of subjects. This week, again, we're following up on the Oslo slide up in Washington State, Crimea housing disasters, a verdict out of Egypt condemning over 500 to death with a 45-minute trial, riots in New Mexico, that was a surprise. And then we go to the opposite end of the spectrum, talking about a woman who may get thrown in jail for a Facebook post. So we cover a lot of different things, but the one I'm really excited about is talking about the Sioux Tribe, which hosted a spiritual camp near Ideal, South Dakota this past weekend in opposition to the Keystone XL pipeline. I cannot wait to talk about that. Of course, today, tragically, there was a big explosion up in Plymouth, Washington, in the Tri-Cities area. 1,000 people evacuated, 5 people injured. So there's another thing with natural gas, once again, affecting our environment. So we'll be talking about that as well.
And this is exactly why you need to tune into Space Dog Radio at spacedogradio.com and follow the news. I mean, we turn on the news, you know, the news on the TV at night, and it's like it's not even news anymore, and we get that. So how do we break that paradigm and shift us to the independent alternative media outlets and sources that we can trust? And here we are, spacedogradio.com, Mark Taylor Canfield on Twitter, on Facebook, M. Taylor Canfield, filterfreeradio.com. Here we are. We're making it happen. And so Tell me, Space Dog, Mark and I, right before you came on the air, we just kind of shared a little bit of our takeaway and what we felt from the forum up in Seattle. What is your take kind of from our event on March 26th?
Well, I thought it was a spectacular event. I really appreciated the venue, and of course appreciate Progressive Radio Northwest. I think that is such a great base development for the progressive movement, not only in the Pacific Northwest, but it will spread nationally. So it was a great groundbreaking event, and of course yourself, Mark Taylor Canfield, stepped up to the plate with your expertise and all your knowledge, and really, I think, woke some people up. Like Mark Taylor Canfield was saying, the times of wishing something were on your radio are done. On the radio you can choose, Walmart or Costco. Those are your two major media choices, thanks to major corporations. But if you really want to think, you've got to go to the boutique store. You got to go to the Voodoo Donuts of radio, like yourself,
Yes.
And get that mixed bar with bacon. And so that's what independent media is all about. And my takeaway from it, and I'd love to hear yours as well, my takeaway was I was just blown away with the listeners who were just missing their progressive radio outlets. And mad they couldn't just get in their truck and tune it in. Well, it's 2014, and if we're really going to keep momentum going with the progressive movement, people have to get educated. They need to change, look at things, and they need to find a new way. And it's difficult for some, and not so difficult for the younger people in the nation. I have to add, though, there's 20% of Americans out there that don't have internet access. 20%. That's about 60 million Americans do not have access to the internet. And that's an infrastructure issue that we have in America, which Europe and the rest of the world is way ahead of us on. So we need to fix that infrastructure system right there so that access is available all the time at high speed, and so that's an ongoing thing. But also to those listeners who just don't want to make the extra effort, well, then you're not really going to make an extra effort being a progressive. Being a progressive, number one, it's like a salmon going upstream. Okay, you've already got everything against you. You got to get by the whales. Then you got to get by the sea lions. Then you got to get by all the fishermen up in Alaska and in the Columbia River. And then, if you're lucky, you get up the dam. Well, progressives are just like the salmon. We're endangered species, and we just got to keep up the fight somehow, some way. Once you say, no, I can't look at my smartphone, or no, I can't do this on the web, then you've given in to the right side, and it's not going to help.
Can't is the real C word. We need to shut out the can't of popular culture.
Right.
And anytime you want to use fishing analogies, heck yes, man. I am one of those guys down at in Oregon City trying to catch that salmon on its way up to the to the dam. So, and I like to use a fishing analogy of, it's kind of like a math equation, right? Like if you go fishing, some people go fishing their whole lives and never catch a single fish. And it's because you have to be in the right spot at the right time, using the right bait, put it right in front of their face kind of thing. And that is essentially how it's going to be for some of the people who are making that transition from traditional outlets to new age outlets. People who are having trouble with that transition is going to kind of have to be like the fishing thing. We're going to have to really be in the right spot at the right time and have the right bait, whatever, and to get people hooked, right? And so that was really what Progressive Radio Northwest Forum was about, I think. And I'm so with you, like. For me, I'm 20, moment of disclosure, I'm 25 years old. I'll be 26 in 2 weeks. So for me, I was raised on a computer, essentially. And so it's pretty, like, firsthand, second language, easy thing for me. And for the people, like you said, don't even have a computer, don't even have access to the internet. I think we need to organize the next successful social movement around free internet for all, but that's a whole different topic. We have to build a little bit of the, like a new outlet on the traditional side, the X-ray FMs of the world, the KEXPs of the world, so that there is a there. It isn't much, and it's limited to funding and whatnot, but It's there. If you want to go to the radio, it's there. And there should be a there. I mean, we have KBOO, you know, I mean, so I get that. But there also has to be that transition, and that's exactly what you're talking about, Space Dog. That's why, you know, and people want to find Space Dog Radio, they have to go on the computer, spacedogradio.com. If people want to hear Mark Taylor Canfield's reporting, Mark, jump in the conversation, brother. If people want to hear Mark Taylor Canfield, you have to really go online and find Mark on Facebook and find Mark on Twitter and on YouTube. I mean, Mark has his own YouTube channel. He's putting all his reports on there, pictures and cool stuff. He's making it happen, right? So, yeah.
Take it. I was just thinking, we do have this obligation, I guess. It probably used to be part of broadcasting in general that part of your job is to make the information accessible to people.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't forget that. That's why it's good to have a nice organized website where things are easy to find and everything's archived. And that's our public service, right, is to say we're going to make it as easy as possible for you to interact with this media. It's up to you, though, to make that decision to go out and find it. And that's, that's the transition we're in. But you know what? I wrote an article 10 years ago about how all of our media was going to be on one device. And I just couldn't figure out why. I'm sure that the tech people and the software engineering people knew that was going to happen. And I remember trying to explain to people, you're not going to be listening to your stereo and then going over to a different device and making a phone call,
right,
and then going over a device to turn on the radio to get your news, and then going over to another device and turning on this big, irradiated cathode ray tube to get, information or entertainment. It's all going to be on one device. Now, it might not be the Dick Tracy watch that people were expecting, 5 years ago. It's going to be something that you can carry around, and it's all going to carry, what you need. And then anything else you want is an accessory. So if you want a really nice sound system, for sure, get a nice amplifier and some really good Labtech speakers or something and go for it. Enjoy your audio.
Yep.
If you want to listen to CDs or WAV files because they're better sound than MP3s, you have that option. But the basic, medium through which people are not only getting their information, but they're interacting with other people about information is no longer the television set,
sure,
which it used to be what's in your pocket when you're, in transit somewhere between jobs or whatever, or, going to pick up your kids from school.
Right.
It's right there in your pocket. We're all in touch 24 hours a day if we want to be. And, and I choose sometimes not to be, just like, it's because it's good and healthy and creative to do that.
Sure.
But I just keep thinking, we are in the new paradigm, but we do have to accept that there's a learning curve.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Sure.
It's always been a learning curve. When computers first came out, there was a learning curve. There's still a learning curve with every kind of electronic media because the changes are coming so fast and the technology is changing rapidly. So you always have to keep updated. That's part of the issue. So you do have to engage yourself. It's not a passive sit back and watch the fire kind of idea. Media is, well, it would be if you're sharing stories at the campfire. That's one good analogy. But in terms of just staring at that blinking screen and being, quote, programmed, it's not really. You have other choices now.
Right.
And as long as we're able to use these technologies and be independent and do the media, then I think, so far issues of money or even widespread appeal or anything like that have sort of been secondary. It's more about being pioneers and just keep doing it. And then, as you were saying, Jacob, teaching other people to do it,
right,
which is, I think, part of the key here. Because if we want to build these networks, then we need a lot of people doing it. And if we want people to understand the technology and support it and interact with it, then we've got to teach them how to use it. So that's part of our job that maybe, Edward R. Murrow didn't have to explain to people how to read a newspaper or how to turn on the radio, but we're in a different age now where all of us are being challenged to be technicians on one level or another, especially if you're creating media.
You nailed it. That is the perfect analogy. Edward R. Murrow didn't have to teach people how to read the newspaper, right? But we have to get people to the digital newspaper online, and that does take a learning curve, right, and learning process. I want to throw it back to Space Dog. Space Dog Radio, first time we've ever heard Space Dog on Filter Free Radio. It is so good to establish a connection with you, man, and we're definitely going to connect again in the future. I want to have you on for at least another hour at some point, whenever it works for you, man. An hour, 2 hours, whatever you want to do, and just we'll dive into Space Dog Radio and really make that connection for our listeners, who I know are going to appreciate it because I find interest in it, and I know that my listeners would find interest in it. Space Dog, we got about 10 minutes left in the show, and I just want to kind of throw it to you for what is your takeaway and what is your kind of, most important points, and what do you really want people to take home?
Well, it's a great discussion we're having here. I really appreciate your kindness, and I really appreciate talking to Mark Taylor Canfield, too. It's always great to hear his views. So I'm just thinking about these listeners who are just needing some type of outlet, some type of platform, and then I shift over to Netflix and how they're trying to get more content through these little teeny tiny wires in our infrastructure. Why are they doing that? They know that people want true quality content at a much faster pace than what they're doing now. Granted, Netflix is a big corporation, but they're doing it for a reason, and the reason is because there's a need there to be filled, and they're putting a lot of money into internet infrastructure upgrades. So there's a reason behind that. I'm not sure exactly what it is, other than, of course, our corporation are driven. I guess the point I'm getting at is the infrastructure is out there. We're using the best that we can. We can do just about anything, anywhere, at any time, given our resources, and especially pinpointing like mobile devices. Like Jacob pointed out at the forum, hey, this is one of the most powerful tools that I've got is my phone, my smartphone. So the three of us, I believe, know that value, but there's something else out there that's going to go to the next level. It may not be for a while, but I'm really excited about that too, because right now people aren't going to want to sit in front of their TV or their computer at a desk at a certain time and watch things. I believe they're going to want to be mobile all the time. Like I was driving in from the airport this afternoon, listening to filter-free radio on my smartphone, and I had to plug it in. It sounded fantastic. It's like, why would I listen to anything else? I can just do this, and it's a great program. So my takeaway, really though, it really disturbed me when we were at the forum, and those listeners were really upset that their shows are taken away, and they couldn't understand why they were taken away. And I felt really bad. I didn't have a good answer for them. I didn't, and I still don't. But I do know that with added guidance and true content, people will find their way. And I've got faith in humans, even though I'm from another planet. So there you go.
I love it. I love it. Where the hell is my my thing there? Yes. I love it, man. I love it. Folks need to check out Space Dog Radio, spacedogrradio.com. We're going to get a link up to it at filterfreeradio.com. We're going to get you back on the program. In the future, of course, whenever it works best for you, do an hour expose, get into Space Dog Radio, find out why people really need to be tuning in and getting educated and informed from trusted, independent media sources. It's, I'm so with you. It bothers me that people are like, I can't go anywhere to get what I need. And I'm like, it's all there. It's like there on the, it's not rocket science, and it's free. A lot of it's free. I don't charge anything to get this show at all. It's YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, whatever you have is free. And so, and I believe in free internet for all. It's part of the commons, right? If we want to give ourselves a chance, give our future a chance, we should let people tap into the internet because that's where it's happening. But anyways, man, I could go on forever, and I do, so my apologies. And Again, it's so great to connect with you. It's so great to meet you in person, to establish that connection, not just for me, but for our listeners, both on Space Dog Radio and on Filter Free Radio. And anytime you want to interview me or I can come on Space Dog Radio, I'm more than happy to do so, man. Anything I can do to help you out, I'm more than happy to do it, man. And I mean, and anyone that has ever, gone through the KBPS, KBPS alumni, you have a special place in my heart, man. So, I'm with you, man, and I'm so happy to have met you and established the connection.
You're too kind. Thank you very much. Look forward to further collaborations with yourself and Mark Taylor Canfield and Progressive Radio Northwest. Thank you very much, and congratulations on We Act Radio out of Washington, D.C.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much, man. And we'll be you'll hear from me soon. We'll collab and stay in contact, brother. So thank you so much. And
it's so good to see the family growing like that, Jacob. It's
yeah.
awesome.
And like I said, Mark, if it was not for you, I would not have known of Space Dog Radio. And we went through the same exact, high school radio broadcasting program. I mean, that's a pretty small group of folks. Never heard of him. And that's on me, right? I was not taking the initiative to go out and find who is doing online progressive media in the Northwest, in Portland, in Seattle, my neighbors, I that's on me. And so, like Space Talk's talking about, like you're talking about, Mark, if people want to step up, if people have the initiative to step up and make it happen, it can happen. I'll throw it back to you, brother. We got about a couple minutes, so.
Not only as an audience participant or a netizen, some kind of interactive term I think is what we need, because audience is where you sit there and you applaud at the Johnny Carson show when the light says applause. But what we're talking about is more interactive, and people are still trying to wrap their minds around that. For one thing, probably a lot of people who like to listen to those progressive programs, they don't ever call in. They just listen. So that's not active participation actually either. Right. There's a lot of chat rooms going on, and there's a lot of email going back and forth and Facebook comments about these programs between the audience and the producers and the hosts. And so people don't want to miss out on that, because in the past, you had no opportunity to ever interact with the producers or the hosts of these national radio programs.
Right.
It was just impossible to get through the bureaucracy at the local affiliate and then contact someone at the headquarters at the big network somewhere to even find out who you were supposed to talk to. These days, everyone's online, everyone's got an email, everyone's got a Facebook site. You can find them, and if you're persistent enough and you've got, interesting information, you will be able to interact. The other thing is you guys are really inspiring me to just start doing online streaming, because I think it's really important what you guys are doing. I want to jump into it too, and probably, now having been around folks like you and Space Dog and others long enough to figure out how all this works, I feel confident enough to do it and feel like I know what it's about. But like I said at that forum, it really, if you extrapolate this far enough, it really comes down to the point that every one of us, could and possibly should have each one of us should have our own individual, everyone in this society should have their own individual channel, television station, radio station, YouTube, live stream, something, because it's possible. Why not?
Yes.
I'm not saying lose your privacy and give up everything, to be on the web. I'm just saying, if you have a hobby, if you have a skill, if you have anything to share or anything that's interesting to other people, do it.
Right.
Let people build these organic networks. That's how people become really famous on YouTube. They usually don't have a big agent. They just, there's some kind of resonance that picks that up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I got to wrap up, I got a couple minutes left, Mark, but I got to say, I'm so, thrilled. I cannot put into words how happy I am to help be part of a motivation for you to consider doing your own show and doing broadcasting. I mean, there's a reason why journalism is the only profession specifically mentioned in the United States Constitution, because journalism and journalists are the most important asset we have to remaining informed. And there's nothing I respect more than an independent journalist who is being a professional journalist about journalism, which is exactly what you do, Mark. And this is why people come to you and seek your journalism, because it's good stuff. And I myself have journalism background, a radio broadcast journalism background. And I finally got to the point where I'm like, I can't do the journalism without inserting my opinion here, because, and I make it very clear that this is my opinion. We talk about the news, and I talk about, my opinion on the news, right? But it is an opinion show, and I get that. I blur the line of activist and journalist on a daily basis. I did it yesterday at the Million Blanket March. I'm like showing up, donating blankets, hoorah, we're going to change the world, save the homeless kind of thing. And then, jump back, pull out the camera, play journalist, And a lot of people don't really like that when you do that. But I think we're in a different world today. We need people to be able to go be the journalist and then to present that journalism and say, this is what's going on, and here's my opinion about why I did it, why we need to do it, and this kind of thing. And that's what I'm trying to do. So, I'm literally trying to blur that line of activism and journalism. And,
Jacob, for me, it's just a matter of using multimedia, because I'm the one that's been trying to push these radio networks I've been working for to become multimedia.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not going to do it and they're behind the times, then that means we have to do it somehow. And there's no reason why I can't. I don't have to rely on a television station to broadcast my news reports. All I have to do is turn on the webcam.
Right.
And that's what I do on the radio constantly, and was also actually trained as a broadcast journalist, hosted my own 1 hour live news program for a while at a Pacifica affiliate station. So I'm used to doing it, but I think that I do want to approach more as I'm just reporting the news, so maybe providing some kind of content for other networks and other people doing independent broadcasting. So maybe, like a 10-minute, MTC report or something like that.
Yes.
That would be a good way to start. It'd
Yes.
be easy to produce. And it's no different than doing it on the radio. It's just I turn on a camera.
Exactly.
And that's what I've been telling all the people I've been working for years. So I need to kind of do it myself to prove, because they still are not doing it.
Right.
A lot of public radio still does not have a live stream. They just don't want people to see them on the air while they're broadcasting, and I don't know why. They're shy, I guess.
That's all right. That's all right. I mean, Skeptical Scott, no one will ever, unless you get to meet the fellow in person, you will never ever get to see what he looks like, because he does not want to be shown on the air, and I respect that. So, so I get that. And Mark, I'm totally not trying to tell you how to do your show, man. And the fact that you're being motivated to do a show, I'm so behind you. Please let me know how I can help. I want to do some production for you, make some promos, the Mark Taylor Canfield Hour or whatever. Dude, I'm so there. So let me know what I can do to help. We're going to make it happen. We'll get a link to it. All the above.
I appreciate that. I think you and Space Dog both have, great enthusiasm on the air, so that would be great to hear your voice,
Yes.
Share content. So however I can guys out, same, brother. So let's do it.
Right on. We're making stuff happen. The independent journalist, Mark Taylor Canfield out of Seattle. It was so good to meet you, brother. And so good to have you share with us Space Dog Radio. Now we've got another connection, and he's here in town in Portland. So I can't wait to connect and to establish and to make things happen. So, Mark, I got to say thank you, man. And it's so good. I can't wait for the next meeting of the minds. Let's do it soon, all right?
Yeah, I will post a link to your website so people can check this broadcast out today. So as soon as it's up, we'll know. So yeah, great to meet you too when you were in Seattle, and Space Dog as well. And let's just keep doing it. Somebody's got to. I'll see you soon. Take care.
Right on, brother. Right on. Oh, that's good stuff. And on that note, not only am I out of time, I'm overtime. So I got to end the show. It has been a fantastic ride. I'm so thankful you have been here. If this is your first time checking us out, you have to find our website, filterfreeradio.com. Everything is there, and it is free. I hope you check it out. I got to thank everyone who makes this show possible, just not me behind the scenes. Everyone's making it happen. Thanks to my special guest, Liberty Jones of Evolve PDX. Thanks to the folks at Evolve PDX for showing up and making a difference yesterday at the Million Blanket March. I want to thank my special guest, Mark Taylor Canfield, and Space Dog of Space Dog Radio, spacedogradio.com. And, of course, the folks at Progressive Radio Northwest for holding such a fantastic forum and bringing together the meeting of the minds. And thanks to Impact Hub Seattle for hosting. Folks should check out Impact Hub Seattle. Like, that's a whole different conversation we can get into at some point. I got to thank my brother from another mother, my super duper awesome mass producer, my co-host, and my kick-ass all-around, good fellow who is not here this week. He will be back next week. Our Washington, D.C. native resident from our nation's capital, inside the Beltway, Mr. Skeptical Scott. I got to thank you, brother, even though you're not here with us. I always appreciate you being with me, man. I got to thank Nicole Sandler for syndicating us on the Radio or Not Network, radioornot.com. Thanks to Kenny Pick for syndicating us on Liberal Justice Radio on TuneIn and A Online Radio. Huge thanks to the one, the only community radio station in Washington, D.C., We Act Radio, 1480 AM WPWC. WeActRadio.com. I can't thank you guys enough. Come on, Pete, man, keep up the good work. Let me know what I can do for you. Folks, check out WeActRadio.com. Thanks to Kevin McLeod of Incompetech, DanoSongs.com for music production, Webmaster Shano for the website. Thank you, brother. New one coming soon. New website. Thanks to you, the listeners, our friends, for liking the show, spreading the word, helping us grow. Grassroots activism, bottom up. Thank you. Friends in the chat room, love the conversation. Appreciate you very much. Thank you. Very special thanks to JD Fishin, my official puppy sitter of Filter Free Radio, without whom, especially right now, I could not be doing this show. Remember, if you want to be a contributor in any way to Filter Free Radio, let's make it happen. Email me. Get out there. Get active. Be the change. Make a difference. Be the solutions. We'll see you next Monday. Peace, love, rock and roll, y'all.
Filter Free Radio.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. So give me something to believe, 'cause I am living just to believe, and I need something more to keep on breathing for. So give me something to believe.
The revolution will be broadcast
Monday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Filter Free Radio.